But first, our top story tonight, the White House set to shift into high gear to try to sell its health care vision to the nation. With a massive number of Americans revolting now against Obamacare, will the president's speech to Congress planned next week change any minds? Joining us now from New York is conservative writer Andrea Tantaros, and here with me in Washington, Democratic strategist Kiki McLean. Ladies, great to see you.
Glad to be here.
Kiki, I see this as a bit of a Hail Mary pass late in the game. I mean, August has been a total disaster for Democrats. I don't care if you're a liberal, conservative. It's just not been a good one for the Democrats. So president goes out there, joint session of Congress, a lot of buildup, a lot of drama. High stakes?
High stakes, but this is a big problem that requires high stakes. August was a tough month. I think, Laura, you and I have been around long enough to know that August is a tough month no matter who's in charge. For some reason, there's this great history to the month of August every year in politics. But here's what is happening. We're 80% of the way. We've got bills and work done out of 4 of the 5 committees that are necessary. The reality is, leadership is high stakes. It takes a lot to get completely across the line to make the touchdown, and that's what a president's got to do, and that's really what he's stepping up to the plate to do.
Some people are out there, including who I just mentioned in Talking Points memo, Charlie Rangel, trying to argue that the reason health care in the debate is where it is today is partly because of people's discomfort with having a black man in the White House. Well, we have the soundbite. Let's listen.
Some Americans have not gotten over the fact that Obama is president of the United States. They go to sleep wondering, how did this happen? Then you know there's just a misunderstanding, a bias, and prejudice, and emotional feeling that we're going to have to move forward, notwithstanding that.
Andrea, I mean, if Charlie Rangel weren't in enough trouble with all of his ethics investigations, now injecting race into the health care debate, I mean, I'm really at my wit's end here. I can't make heads or tails of this.
Yeah, look, this is the worst thing that they can happen, bringing race into this debate. This has nothing to do with health care. If anything, people don't care that he's black. They care that he's green. They say, what is this guy doing? And to your point about this being a Hail Mary, yes, I think Obama had no other options. I think from a political perspective, he's still personally popular. People still want to eat arugula with him and go for bike rides with him. I think from a legislative perspective, he wants to take this back. Nancy Pelosi has taken ownership of this. He doesn't want this to be a Pelosi bill or a Waxman bill. But look, Laura, we've seen his face all summer. Most polls think he's overexposed. He spoke to the AMA. He did a White House press conference on this. So he's got to come out and not only prove his points, he has to disprove all of the concerns and then promise the American people and answer that fundamental question, what's in it for me? And he still hasn't done that, and I doubt he's going to be able to do it in this speech.
I actually think there's 2 things going on here. Number one, he did his job in August when there was a lot of misinformation out there. He stepped up to the plate.
Polls have gone down since he spoke, Kiki. How can you say he did his job? It's a disaster.
Laura, he did his job. He went out and he answered the critics.
The polls aren't showing any results for him.
You live by polls. I'm going to live by the results of health care reform.
I'm living by what the people are saying.
But so what I'm trying to tell you now is that when we're 80% of the way there, when we have people at the table who have never come to the table before, change doesn't come with a litmus test on either end. This is on both sides, right? You don't make big change happen when people lay down litmus tests on their side.
Well, what if people just don't want this?
I think you're going to find a president who looks up and reminds us where we are, because I think if you look at the polls, the majority of Americans do want health care solved.
Well, they don't think this. No,
Laura, I would disagree.
I don't think they call this reform. Hold on one second.
I think what we're talking about is what a lot of people have defined the reform to be, and I think what we're going to hear from the president is where you take the different pieces of these different ideas and bills now and where we move forward. This is high stakes. This is big change. Big change does not come with a litmus test from either.
Point we're going to get?
No, that's mine. From either my team or your team.
But don't you see now, looking back at the summer, that whole trip to Europe and the Middle East? Remember the grand speeches and all the.
Because the United States got a lot of work to do.
Well, but this was the centerpiece of his presidency.
But because we have domestic issues does not take away our place in the world, Laura.
But he lost control of this debate because this wasn't framed by him from the beginning.
You and I can Monday morning quarterback all we want the politics.
That's a reality, though.
It's a Thursday morning quarterback with you right now.
Yeah, but the reality, though, right?
We're coming back from.
Has this been a good summer from the president?
I think it's been a tough summer for the president.
It's been a terrible summer for his health care bill.
I think it's been a tough year for this president because we've got tough problems in the country.
Laura, I would disagree with Kiki. She said she wants Barack Obama's going to...
We've got a tough problem in the country.
It is tough, but you're trying to take over a big chunk of the economy. People want to have some questions answered.
No, we're not trying to take over. We're trying to make a big chunk of the economy work in the right way for the most Americans that can possibly work.
Most Americans like their health care. That's the problem. Andrea,
most Americans want better health care.
Andrea, here's what I see is that, even with an absence of Republican leadership, and I don't, Tom Coburn's out there, and Senator Barrasso from Wyoming is making some interesting points.
There's a real absence here.
But, the Republicans, don't have one leader, yet the Republicans are smoking the Democrats on this issue. Isn't that interesting? I mean, in the absence of any Republican leadership, President Obama can't hold the stage and convince the people. That's amazing for someone as talented as President Obama is.
Yeah, but leave it to Democrats to hang themselves on their own. I mean, Laura, Kiki just said, Barack Obama is going to remind the American people of where we are. I don't think he wants to remind us where we are. We know where we are, and we're not happy with it. That's why he has to address a bunch of school children, people who will believe what he's saying because they really were born yesterday. Look, this is about one thing. This is not about the American economy or the American people anymore. This bill is about Democratic majorities in 2010 and 2012. They're trying to save their own hide with this speech, with this bill, and I predict, look, Republicans barely even have a role in this because we were not asked to the table. Barack Obama is going to come out and he's going to give this speech, and the real question is the Pelosi in his side going to battle him on this and create a Democratic civil war? Because that's what I predict is going to happen.
Kiki has to get the last word here.
I think the reality, this is about the future of what happens to America's families and children and their health care. Andrea, that's the difference. You think
no
it's
one
about
believes
politics.
it. It doesn't help them.
People.
It doesn't help them.
I think it's about the people and making progress.
To be continued. Fascinating discussion, and we appreciate it, both of you.